Well, excuse me. What shall we talk about? As always, it's never boring. There was me, looking forward to a lovely day off. Finished editing the video, which is going out tonight. Nice day off, relax with the family. Yeah, that's not happening. So, Cardiff City have announced that Omar Riza has left Cardiff City with immediate effect. But that's not all. Along with his coaching staff, Cardiff have appointed Aaron Ramsey as the manager for the remaining 3 games. Oh, as well as they have also appointed or given him his own coaching staff in Chris Gunter, Joe Rawls, Tom Hutton, and Matt Bloxham. So, for those of you who don't know, Chris Gunter has been Wales' under-18 coach, obviously a former Cardiff City player himself, former Wales international, one of Wales' most captive, not the most captive, if I'm not mistaken. Matt Bloxham took over from Darren Pearce, I believe, in the 23s, 21s. And it's one of them, right, where, you know, I've seen a few people saying, like, you're just going from one experience to manager to the other. Like Martin in the comments there said, can't make it up. It's farcical. It's no managerial experience, but it's a desperate, cheap decision. I understand what people are saying about the experience, but I don't necessarily think it's the cheap option in terms of why they've gone in this direction. My thought is always, once you lose the away fans, you're done. And he had lost the away fans, but I also don't think that this decision came overnight. You know, I think it's nearly 2 weeks ago that the board agreed that with Neil Warnock was going to come in. The owner didn't, and he couldn't get past whatever his differences are with Neil Warnock. Didn't want him there, didn't want him in, whatever the reason, I don't know exactly, but so there was clear that they wanted to make a change, or the board wanted to make a change as far back as the Luton game, but it's up to the owner. But obviously, it got to a point where the owner felt that the change was needed. So it's really interesting because one thing I will say is the level of toxicity, not just in like the fans to the manager, but also within the group, shall we say, is something which people probably don't realize. And I'm sure it will all come out. And if it doesn't, I'll talk about it in the summer. But like, it's way, way worse than what you thought it was. Everything you've heard is way worse than that. Like, so to my point, right? I said before, I thought Omar Riza, it was a risk. We should have, in my opinion, gone with Bilic when we had him agreed, because he had the right mix of everything. That's just my opinion. Some people disagree, but I can't guarantee. But I think if we'd appointed if we'd appointed Bilic in December when we asked him to wait, oh my God, then I think we wouldn't be in the situation we're in now. I think it's fair to ask questions why we've waited till 3 games to go to make a decision and then to bring someone in. What I will say is Aaron Ramsey is the consummate professional. He's extremely talented. And I've heard a lot of people within the football world and the Welsh setup, from a coaching point of view, compare him to Craig Bellamy. I'm not saying that he'll have the same impact or anything like that. I'm just saying that he is really, really highly rated as a football man and a football brain. Chris Gunter has done a phenomenal job with the Welsh under-18s. Joe Rawls knows the club, and I think what you can say is, though, they will get. Look, I'll put it another way, right? These players, as a whole, if they don't fight and play as to the best of their ability in the next 3 games, they can have no excuses. They didn't want Bullet. Bullet went. Then they wanted Riza. So Riza stayed. Then Riza's now have fallen out with him. for, might be good reasons, might not be, but it's on the players now, ultimately. Like, if we go down, it's not going to be on Aaron Ramsey and Chris Gunter, Joe Rawls, and these coaches. It's going to be on the players, the owner for making the decision so late. It's it is simply remarkable the way that the club is run, and it's one of them. Like, because I think, and this is what I said, I think, on last Sunday's show, is if you bring in Warnock or you have Ramsey or whoever, ultimately, it can't be any worse than what it's been. Even yesterday, like, my big problem with yesterday really was the first half was all right, but same thing again. Like, you switch off, players out of position, lose the ball, and then you get a goal. It's like one of the, like, do you know what I mean? It's stupid. Same mistakes. But is that a structural issue? Is that the way we're set up? Is that the way we're playing? I don't know, but it's happened time and time again. But the second half, it just felt like we're throwing stuff at the wall. Like, it didn't feel like a defined plan. And will it be any different on Monday? Well, the one thing I will say on Monday is this will give the fans a bit of belief and a bit of hope and something to get behind. Because Omar Riza, whatever you think about him, things he said, things he's done, his abilities, his tactics, whatever. If the job was too big for him, or if it's just a case of he had other things going on off the field which maybe didn't help him do a good job, I don't know. But, like, whatever you think of him, when you've lost the fans, haven't you? Like, you've lost the fans, you've lost the players. It's worth a gamble. And if nothing else, this is what I said about when the Warnock thing became public on Monday, I think it was, is if you'd have appointed Warnock last Monday, all week, what you would have had is positivity, because you'd have had belief and hope, something to cling on to. But instead, you had the manager criticize certain sets of fans, call them clueless and stuff like this, which didn't help. It just stirred everything up. And then you have a really poor second half yesterday tactically, and it just becomes like a real issue. When you lose the away fans, you're done, and you've well and truly lost the away fans. It's difficult. Like, we got no way of judging whether Aaron Ramsey is going to be a good manager in the future. And ultimately, how he does in this 3 games will not decide whether he becomes a good manager or a good coach or whatever, because his 3 games, all he has got to do is set them up in a way and train in a way that they can get the best out of this group. This group has got a lot of talent in it. They are technically very, very good footballers, a lot of them. But for whatever reason, they're not performing like it. Is it a tactical thing? Is it a pressure thing? Are they just freezing under the pressure? Well, Aaron Ramsey's played at the tip top of the game, so if anyone knows about how to deal with pressure, he does. So, and the one good thing is Chris Gunter, Aaron Ramsey, Joe Rawls, they are Cardiff City players. Like, they are Cardiff through and through. They know what it means to play for this club. They know they will feel it, and they will be desperate to stay up. It's just one of them. Like, as a manager, I always think if you criticize the fans, you're running a real tightrope. I really do, like, because, and it doesn't really matter if it's a small group or it's all of them or whatever. Like, once you criticize the fans, because of the world we live in with social media and stuff like that, stuff will get clipped up, stuff will get taken out of context, stuff will get quoted on an image or on a post, and you don't get a full context or you don't get the full explanation, and that spreads like wildfire. The context doesn't. So once you criticize the fans, that's it. It'll be really, really interesting. I got to say, the one thing I was slightly surprised at was that he did get his own coaches in to a certain extent. I mean, Chris Gunter's probably the one that's a surprise. I think the rest are within the Cardiff system, I think. But they're exciting coaches. Don't get me wrong. Like Matt Bloxham's a real exciting choice. Chris Gunter, Joe Rawls. I think everyone's been saying, Rawls and Ramsey, they want to keep him at the football club. They just maybe give him a pay-as-you-play deal. Well, could you end up with a situation where they're player manager, player assistant manager next year? I don't know. I don't think that's a decision or a conversation for now. They just have to find a way to stay up, mate. And that's ultimately all it is. I think one thing you can say is that on Monday, that ground will be bouncing now. That ground will be full now. That ground will be absolutely rocking because the fans have got something to hope for. Yesterday, I felt like we might pinch something yesterday, but we just had no cutting edge. And it was interesting. The first 20 minutes, we had like Mate and Salic up front, and we did try and put a couple of crosses in and long balls up to them. But even that kind of died a death as the game went on. So you just ended up with two big men. It wasn't Salic's game. I can't for the life of me understand not bringing Simic on when you're desperate for a goal and you've got a young striker on the bench who's genuinely like in form. It makes no sense to me whatsoever, but I'm not a manager. Eben makes a point now. He said, it's funny, the last two managers who've criticised the fans, they both get sacked by the next game. Yeah, mate, when you lose the fans, you're done, ultimately. And I think the mistake that Omar Riza made with that was there was a lot of fans, and there's been a lot of talk for a while that he's not up to it or he wasn't good enough to be the manager or all these different angles or aspects, right? But those fans who still were like not sure about him or didn't really think he was up to it, they were still turning up every week and singing his name and backing the team. And when he came out and attacked the fans or had a go at a certain section of fans or whatever, it's a slippery slope from there. On a human level, I gotta say I feel for him, and I think I said this to someone in the middle of this week, like when all the dust is settled, I would like to ask the questions about the support he was given in the middle of the season, because he's in Cardiff. As far as I know, he's got no sort of family and friends down here. He's lost his dad, who he's obviously very close to, someone who he's closest to in the world. And I just wonder, like, as an employer, should the club have done more to support him? I don't know. And that's something for another day. On a human level, he looked broken, didn't he? He looked like he was struggling with the pressure, and anyone would. But from a positive point of view, as I've said a couple of times, Cardiff have got something to hope for. They've got something to cling on to now. It just brings a little bit of positivity. And regardless of Aaron Ramsey's experience and stuff like that, which I'm sure rival fans will bring up and other people will, you can't ignore it. Yeah, he doesn't have any managerial experience. What he does have, though, is the utmost respect of the football world, of all those players. They will absolutely respect Aaron Ramsey because he's done more than any of them ever. He has played at the tip-top of the game and done it well. So, they now have got they've got to free their minds and they've got to just play football, because I absolutely believe that from a pure technical ability, those players are good enough footballers to go and win at least 2 out of 3 games from a pure technical ability point of view. We haven't seen that this year. So they have to find a way as coaches, as players, to relax the group enough that they can play. Now, I would imagine, judging by how Chris Gunter's under-18s play and how Aaron Ramsey has always played football, that a lot of focus will be on pass, move, attacking football at pace, etc., etc. That's exciting to me, because I look at the players and I think, well, that is the sort of players we've signed, is players who can move the ball quickly and move off the ball. But when I've watched Cardiff City this year, one of my biggest criticisms has been the lack of movement off the ball. Little periods here and there. Now, I will ask this question to you guys. If Cardiff on Monday turn up and we beat Oxford 3-0, 5-0, whatever, right? Does that reflect good or bad on the players? What, are you telling me it's as simple as, oh, he's playing a different system or picking one or two different players? I'll be fascinated to see what team Aaron Ramsey picks, because that'll give a real indicator on, I think, certainly where he felt in terms of the sides that were being picked and stuff like that. But I'll also be fascinated because if you look at those coaches, they all work with young players. Obviously, with the exception of Ramsey and Rawls, they all work with the 19s, the 18s. They will work with young players. They all will be very, very familiar with Cardiff's young players in the academy as well as the first team. May we see a complete change and a real focus on youth and mobility and athleticism. I don't know. It's a big, big pressure to do that. So so here's a couple of comments straight away. Alan says the players have underperformed all season. Martin says, for me, Will Fish has shown the attitude and fortitude required by every player. He has set the correct example. Evan says it will reflect badly on the players. Jonathan said it's bad on the players. Effectively means we're being relegated because they were sulking. Yeah, we're not down yet, mate. Remarkably, we're only 1 point behind the team above us, which is absolutely crazy. Because I feel like we haven't won for about 6 months. I know we have, but it just feels like that. I think, and look, this is it, right? Accountability is a big word for me. I think it's something which I try to sort of use in my day-to-day life. It's something which I use with the channel. It's something which I use with everything. Like, I'm a big on personal accountability. If you say something, you do something, deal with it. Like, you've got to own it, and then you've got to deal with the consequences. And ultimately, I blame Vincent Tan, because if you've got your board unanimously telling you post Luton that a change is absolutely needed or we are going down, and you continually refuse to listen to them, then what's the point in them being your board members? Now, it's not like one saying this, one saying that, one saying this. As far as I am aware, after the Luton game, every single one of the board members was 100% on the same page that a managerial change was needed, and it was needed immediately. Vincent Tan was the one who held that back. So I do hold him accountable. I think questions need to be asked of why the board listened to the players in January when they went to bat for Omar Riza. Not because I don't think they should have an opinion, but ultimately employees shouldn't be picking their boss or their supervisor, whatever you want to frame it as. The board had a name or two which they were negotiating with, and they changed their mind and went with the players. Now, that's largely in part because Vincent Tan really liked Omar Riza, of course, but it's I said it from the start, Suze. I'll read your comment now, but like I said it when he was appointed till the summer. He's been set up to fail, and he's been set up to be the scapegoat. And if you look at the comments everywhere, like so there's that video which I made about the fans getting behind the team. Omar Riza shared that, so it's on his Instagram. So because it's mine, but it's shared on his Instagram, I get the comments that he's getting, and some of them are fucking wild. Like, but I said before he was set up to be the scapegoat, and you look at it, and most of the comments on social media are Riza's to blame for us taking us down, blah 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 blah. Well, he is accountable for his part in it, but the owner is the one who's to blame, because he just doesn't. He's not there. He doesn't care. And look, I don't want to go into the structure of the football club too much. I got a video out on that tonight, which I spent a lot of time recording and editing and stuff. Rebuilding Cardiff City, episode number 2, out tonight. Yeah, it's one of them. Is it too little, too late? That's the question on everybody's lips, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, that will depend, won't it? If we go and smash Oxford on Monday, I mean, theoretically, we could be out of the relegation zone theoretically with 1 win, which is mental to me that we're that close. Even after another loss yesterday, even after another terrible performance second half. So it's just bananas. It's just a crazy league. And part of me thinks I should stick to what I said all along, is that I don't think Cardiff will go down, and I think there will be 3 worse teams than us. The problem is, in terms of the football we've played, the intensity we've played at, there probably isn't 3 teams worse than us. But the way it's set up, the way it's kind of gone now, if Ramsey and co can just get them to believe and fight and play a bit of football, we might well stay up, because we're somehow not adrift. So what is it? We're 1 point behind Derby and Luton, and then we play Oxford. Who have Luton got? So Luton play Bristol City, very tough game, but they're in a bit of, bit of decent form. And Derby are away to West Brom, another tough game. So it's not inconceivable that if Cardiff could beat Oxford, they're out with the relegation zone, which is just crackers. But they've got to do it. They've got to be playing. They've got to leave it. It's just one of those. Let's have a look at some comments. Sue says, Riza was thrown to the wolves from the beginning, but I've always supported him and hope of staying up. How much they can change. How can they suddenly cross with this precision on a target? Not sure. Fingers crossed. You'd like to think that Aaron Ramsey and Joe Rawls will be able to teach him how to put a set piece in. Jonathan says, is our finances that bad that we can't afford coaches? It's not why we are constantly scraping the barrel as far as managers and coaches. I mean, financially, we're not in a good state, mate. I think it's more, in this case, it's probably more a case of they wanted to just a clean sweep, fresh minds, fresh voices, and the most effective way to do it for 3 games is to bring in people you know. So obviously Chris Gunter is very, friendly with Aaron Ramsey. They've known each other since they were kids, trust each other. Joe Rawls is already there. And then you bring in a couple of the younger coaches. Martin asked the question, did some players not want an experienced manager who would insist on hard work, discipline, and accountability? That's the question, mate. I know, or I shouldn't say I know. There is rumors that some of the players feel let down by Omar Riza in terms of how he was at the start and how he became. Now, is that a pressure thing? Is that because he was not able to deal with the players? Is it because he wasn't able to do the job? I don't know, because I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But ultimately, it is my personal opinion. I forget who said it. Someone said it earlier. There it is, Evan. He said, players have to be largely to blame all season. They're adult professional footballers. They should take accountability. But I also have been on the receiving end of a bad manager. Yeah. And I think everybody's had, no matter what walk of life you've been in, having a manager who you really dislike or is really toxic or is really difficult to deal with. It is so hard. And I know people will say they're professional footballers. They get paid a lot of money. They should be able to put that to one side. But it's not as easy as that. Like, they're human beings. And, it is not as easy to just cast aside personal feelings or issues and just be like, right, let's just play for the badge, or let's just do our job. And largely, I don't think it's a lack of largely. I don't think it's a lack of caring. Like, I do think the players care. I just think there's just, as I've discussed many times, there's a massive disconnect between everything at the football club. Again, full video on that tonight. It's a really interesting conversation starter, that one, actually. You'll have to excuse the thumbnail because things changed today and I haven't got time to change it because I didn't make it, someone else did. So is where it is. ATEX says, how would these group of players perform with the likes of Big Dunk, I wonder? Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Paul says, I think the toxic rubbish should stop now. We need to concentrate on Monday and probably the biggest game in years, get behind Ramsey and the team. Well, I think that's one thing it does do, is it creates a little bit of hope and something to grasp onto, mate, doesn't it? Jonathan says, unfortunately, we could win our next 3 games 5-0 and still go down. And that is a possibility, mate. I just looked at it from a positive point of view that we can win on Monday and be out with the bottom 3. We've got to just do our jobs, and they've got to find a way. And hopefully that bit of positivity can just create enough of a good environment for the players to do enough and find a way. Because we've got some talent there, Jesus Christ. Oh, Hugh, you're right. How, mate, you're right there. Anthony says, the whole structure of the club is wrong. It starts at the top with the owner. Yeah, mate, 100%. In case you don't know, Anthony, I've got a series. The first episode was out last week. Second episode's out tonight, called Rebuilding Cardiff City. And basically, we go from the top of the club and we go through every part of it, and structurally, from analysis, injuries, finances, and we're just going to rebuild it and talk about how we can fix it and the need why we need to fix certain things. And yeah, just a bit of an interesting one. Howell says, if we stay up, the board and the owner will take credit for the change. Yeah, they are partially responsible for us being in this mess. They are staying up. Yeah, I know what you mean. But so it's not very often that I'll stick up for the board. All right. It's rare, if ever. But I will say, since Luton, the board have been unanimous in their wanting to get an experienced manager in. Now, could you say that it's their fault over the last few years? Yeah, I can 100% get on board with that. But it's been the owner who's been the stumbling block in terms of changing the manager. And so I don't know what to tell you. But you are right. They'll take all the credit. And like I said earlier, and I said months ago, the Omar Riza was set up to fail, set up to be the scapegoat and take the blame if we go down. Martin makes a great point. He says Chris Gunter have really hit the ground running with Wales under 18s. Yeah, I really rate Chris Gunter, and I think it'll be really fascinating, Mark, to see if the likes of Dylan Lawler get any game time in these 3 games. Now, I'm not saying they should, or he will, or he won't, because I think it's such a high pressure situation. But it will be fascinating because you've got obviously Gunter from the Welsh under 18s, and then you've got Bloxham and Hutton, who are both involved in that side of football. It'd be really, really fascinating to see how we go and what they pick, what side they pick, how they set up. It's going to be interesting. Evan says, whether we stay up or not, I'd take Aaron Ramsey as assistant manager and to someone more experienced. Possibly. Paul Howell says, a similar change at Rangers recently did have the same effect. They beat Celtic away. Yeah, it's sometimes, mate, is just different voices. Yeah, allegedly. Howell says, so do you think Ramsey and his team got enough time to change the mentality of the squad? I do. And do you know why? Because I don't think the issue, I think a lot of the issue is belief. And I think a lot of the issue is, I think pressure has a lot to do with it. I think part of the kind of training and the structural setup has been an issue. But I also think a bit of belief and togetherness can take you so far. They just need to get everyone on the same page and fighting, because they're good footballers. And I do believe that if they can get a good result at Oxford and a good performance, that kind of will roll on to the final 2 games. But they've got to find a way. And look, if Aaron Ramsey and Joe Rawls and Chris Gunter and co are the ones who end up keeping us up with 3 crazy results, you'll go down in folklore and it'll be fucking so enjoyable. But as I've said many times, and I've said in these videos that are coming out later today, regardless of whether we go down or we stay up in the summer, we have to address these issues, because the reason we're in this position is because we haven't fixed the problems at the football club for the last God knows how many years. You cannot keep doing that. You cannot keep ignoring problems and hoping that things will just work out differently. Yeah, I mean, Sue says, any injury updates? We had NG and Robinson out. Robertson, Colwell yesterday came off. Tanner's obviously not 100% in my opinion, and can Mate do another 90 minutes so close together? I think Alex Robertson's was just a knock. I'm not sure what the score was with Ruben. Tanner just does not. I don't know why we're insisting on trying to play him into form. So, like, 10 minutes here and there, fine. I don't know why we're trying to flog him to death when he's nowhere near fit, clearly. But, on his day, he's a player who can do bits. But we also had fit players, so I don't understand why we're risking him. Yeah, it's a strange one. Yeah, I mean, if Mate can't do another 90, you've got Simic there. There's a few others in there. Just got to do what we can do, and they just got to get a bit of belief. Camille says, any idea if Ramsell and Pearce have left too? I don't know for 100%, but I think they have. I don't know 100% though. I'm waiting to find out about that. They weren't mentioned in the statement, were they? Like that they were leaving. So I don't know whether Aaron's added like those guys to what was already there, which would be another kick in the teeth for Omar Riza, by the way, if Ramsell and Pearce and Gav Ward stay there. Because also there's not really a goalkeeper coach there. Like if they add those coaches, so Aaron Ramsey comes in for 3 games and he gets a full coaching staff. Omar Riza gets 3 coaches and an analyst. You know what I mean? Set up to fail, be fucked. And that's spot on. Atex 1927 says, if any club can get out of this, it's us. We've never done things the normal way. Yeah, it's never boring, mate, is it? Let's be honest. Martin Ryan says, think Mafiko may get a look in. He's done so well for Gunter in the under 18s. Yeah, I wouldn't be against having him on the bench. I've been a big proponent of getting those young, exciting, attacking players on the bench who can just do a bit of magic. Colwell's got a hamstring problem, Paul just said in the chat. So, I mean, I can't imagine we see him again this season. Maybe it depends, I suppose, how bad it is and stuff. But Liam says he should have gone 20 games ago. Tan needs to go. Sadly, we'll still go down. Yeah, a little bit, mate. No, I mean, I'm by no means good, but a little bit. Owen says the next 2 home games are massive. Yeah, mate, I actually think if we win our home games, we'll probably stay up. But you just don't know, do you? It's one of them issues, isn't it? Could Rocco make an appearance if it's, or is it too much of a gamble? I would put him on. I would have him on the bench, 100%. I couldn't believe that he didn't come on yesterday, particularly when Colwell came off, because like there was no, like, last few minutes, you may as well just chuck him on. And do you know what? So what irritated me about Simic not coming on yesterday? I do get it. He's young, blah, blah, blah. But I thought Salic didn't have a very good game yesterday. It wasn't his game. He wanted too many touches on the ball. He was too slow moving it. He works hard, but it just wasn't his game. I'm not saying he should be dropped or anything like that. I'm just saying it wasn't his game yesterday. So put Simic on for 25 minutes. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Because Salic was struggling anyway. Bizarre. Martin says, fingers crossed Ramsey can have the same effect that Bellamy had on Wales. That'd be nice, mate. Alan said, wish they had a week to train before the next game. The big man says, don't see any energy or creativity out there at the moment, but if anyone can get through to the current squad, it'll be Ramsey, Rolls and Gunter. It's a gamble, but it's worth taking because we needed a change. Yeah. You know what it's like, mate, right? It's the managers. It's like if you in wherever you work, if you've got a manager who's just rubs you up the wrong way, or you don't like the way he does things, it's really hard to motivate and do a job as well as you can if you're inspired or motivated by your manager and you see them and they're doing a tremendous job and they're really good at what they do. That has a knock-on effect on the people underneath you. I just think, is it as simple as getting some belief and some motivation into just a bit of intensity into the players? Yesterday, the players, I thought the first half they were all right. They battled and they pressed better, but it was like the final ball. But the way we were set up, we were just set up to just hoof it, and that doesn't suit the players that we have. We've got footballers and this is one of the things I talk about in the video tonight, is about having a plan and a strategy from top to bottom. So whenever you bring players in, you're bringing in the players who are going to fit in with what you want to do as a football club. Because, we've signed Salic, all right? He's a bit of a number 9, a target man, but he's not an old school target man like a Duncan Ferguson or I don't know, like an Andy Carroll or these types of guys. Like, he is more of a 9 than a target man in terms of he does all his best work between the posts. He's always in the right area for the tap in. He puts some crosses in, he'll get on the end of it, he'll hit the target. And the other players we brought in, Alex Robertson is a real good footballer. Will Alves is like a really dynamic, exciting winger. And you look at the players on the pitch, they don't really suit just lumping it up forward. I had a feeling that was the way he was going to go. I said in my preview that I think he's going to go Mate and Salic and just try and be really direct. But it's the thing for me is the lack of pressing and the lack of movement off the ball. Those two things have been prevalent all the way through Errol Bullett's reign, all the way through Omar Riza's reign, all season this year. It's just been, the press is non-existent. We sit back constantly. I understand you've got to time it and whatnot, and you've got to make yourself compact and difficult to play through. I get that. But there is a time to press. And if the time's not to press when you're nearly relegated, I don't know what is. Like, you ain't going to win games by sitting in. And we have to win football matches. 3 draws won't be enough. We have to win football matches. So utilize what you've got. And the tools that we have are footballers who want to pass and move. So just do that. Keep it really simple. When you haven't got the ball, 2 banks of 4. When you've got the ball, pass, move, pass, move, pass, move, and fucking shoot. Was it Phil Stanton last week on this channel said, sometimes people just try and complicate stuff. When you're struggling, go back to basics. Yeah, so Martin just saying there, I believe Tom Ramsell's gone. Darren Pearce is in discussions. I hope Darren goes back to the previous role he was in. I got to say, and it's not just because he's a friend. It's because he did a tremendous job with the 23s. 23s is not about results. It's about 21s. Sorry, Matt. It's about preparing players for the first team, and we have more players coming through the academy than ever before, and he's a massive part of that. And I think people just don't quite understand, and they look at sometimes the results of the 21s and think, "Oh, doing a rubbish job." Well, it's just one of them. No, I wouldn't trust Lee. I wouldn't trust Tan to fix it, but I would trust some of the people below him to convince him to do the right things. But they are saying that. I say I trust them. Like, in fairness, they've had no success over the last few years trying to convince him to do certain things. He'll do what he wants, won't he? No, I don't know where Callum Robinson was meant either. This season's been a joke. It's absolutely just ridiculous. Absolutely disgusting. Because I would say it for the millionth time. You look at the players that we've got at the football club. How the hell are we in the relegation zone? Well, because we're so badly run, there's no plan. We are just throw shit at the wall club. Yeah, Ramsey. Look, the one thing I know with utter fact is that Aaron Ramsey absolutely cares deeply about Cardiff City, and he will do everything that he can to keep us up. And I see a lot of people criticizing him. Oh, he earns 50 grand a week. He's not. He took a massive pay cut to come down here, and he didn't have to come here. He could have gone elsewhere. But here you go. That's interesting. So Artab says players replicate a manager. Riza had no passion or drive. Rambo and Rawls will overnight lift the players' passion and drive, and we'll see a massive difference. Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is if you can suddenly install a bit of belief into the manager, into the players, you see a massive difference. Massive difference. Right. Yeah. It's one of them, isn't it? Right. Wayne says, this is the first time in weeks. I'm looking forward to a game against Oxford on Monday. Let's hope the players are that Ramsey selects for the game, because the team under Riza didn't care. Yeah, someone just said the manager the players will reflect the manager. So it's different. And I think the one thing which cannot be undervalued, and it's such a basic thing, is different voices, different people in training make a huge difference. And Aaron Ramsey has got the respect to those players 100% already. So bringing in such vibrant coaches as well is going to make a massive difference, because I do believe a lot of it is going to be about just getting them to play on the front foot and believe that they can stay up and believe that they can win football matches. I am fascinated to see what side Aaron Ramsey picks, even though I think his second game will be more reflective of maybe what he thinks is the best team, because I think he's got like a day to work with them, only really, because they have a day off today. He's got tomorrow. They won't want to do too much because they got a game Monday, but they're on a rest day today. I think I do know the players got kept by last night after the game, so yeah, I suppose it's possible they knew last night. But I think, if I'm honest, this has been brewing since Monday. Yeah, it is Williams 98. I agree, mate. I do, in a way, I do feel sorry for Riza. He's had an awful year. All of my sort of dealings with him, he's been a very nice guy, but he wasn't the right guy. And I say it again, if we'd appointed Slaven Bilic when he bloody agreed it in December, instead of saying, can you wait until Omar Risa's interim's finished? The disrespect. We'd be mid-table minimum under Bilic. But there we go. That's another one for another story, I suppose. Ultimately, just got to find a way to win these 3 games. Right. Excuse me. I really appreciate you all joining me for this unexpected live episode. I'm going to shoot off now because today's my day off. But let me know what you think Aaron Ramsey's first 11 will be. Also, let me know what you think the score will be against Oxford. I am back tomorrow night for the breakdown where we'll be previewing Oxford and having a bit of a deep dive into everything. But don't fear, there's more content coming tonight, about 7-ish, I think. The next episode of Rebuilding Cardiff City is joining. He's coming, and it's a good one. And please do check out the channel, all that good stuff. If you could become a member, please do just hit join, because that is the thing which helps us and keeps us going and allows us to do content 7 days a week. In the meantime, take it easy, my friends, and I'll see you tomorrow. He says as you can.